Hello, my name is Elton and I'm going to be a rising senior at Lowell High School, and today I'll be presenting about my final milestone. In this milestone, I was able to make some modifications to my light, such as these two buttons. I have a button right here, and then another button behind this mini tower over here. This button controls the changing of my LEDs, so now my LEDs can change color, and this button behind the tower immediately turns off the LEDs by signaling it to fade off. I will demonstrate. So once the light turns on with motion, I will be able to change the color with the press of this button. It cycles through a lot of colors, and it even has a rainbow color mode, and also color chase mode. And I had to modify the functions for those also. So next, moving on, I'll demonstrate my other button. So this button will immediately turn off the light. As you can see, the indicator light turns red immediately and the lights fade off. Yeah, so that's how it works. Now, moving on to my code, I have a check, press, change color function that constantly checks for the change in the color setting. The color setting is a variable in my code, and every time I press this button, the color setting will increment by 1. And this check, press, change color function will constantly check for that, and it will change the color accordingly. And moving on, this other button that I have, the one that turns off the light, will, whenever it's pressed, it will trigger the for loop to stop running and quickly reach its limit and fade off. So, moving on after that, I had 2 other functions added to my code, and those involve the pressing of these two buttons. One is called the press function, and the one's called the press off function, and each one is in charge of checking for whether these buttons are pressed or not. I chose to add these functions in because if I were to just have a digital read button pin equals high in my if statement, then it will constantly run, because whenever the button is pressed, the button stays at high for like 1 or 2 seconds. I did not want that, so I added those 2 functions in instead. Moving on afterwards. So another change I made to my code is that I removed the delay out of my for loop delay out of my for loop, the one that counts whenever the light turns on. So instead of having a 1 second delay every time the for loop runs, it runs super fast, but for the same amount of time. And because of that, this button is way more responsive than it would have been had I kept the delay inside my for loop. So as you can see, when I press it, anytime I press it, the lights respond really quickly and change color. So that is a pretty good result of removing that delay. And let's move over to the serial monitor. Okay, like from my few videos ago, I showed how the sensor takes some time to calibrate. So as you can see, it's calibrating. Yeah. So once the motion sensor detects motion or the button is pressed, the light will turn on, and then it will immediately, after the motion sensor returns low again, then it will count super fast. It'll be shown in the serial monitor. As you can see, there's constantly a print line running. It took a lot of proportions to figure out that for the light to turn on for 30 seconds, it required the for loop to run 1,270 times, and the ratio for that is 1 second for every 43 times the for loop runs. So that's how everything works. This is my third milestone. Thank you for watching.